Hi, this is Judge Herb Dodell, and we're going to talk about something that I have some familiarity with, having done many of these cases over the years. The show is called For the People because one of the things we want to do is give you information that if you come in contact with a particular subject, whether it's small claims or restraining orders or just general litigation, you'll have some idea of what to reasonably expect. So today I want to talk about arson and insurance fraud. I've had lots and lots of those cases. I probably have tried jury trials, a couple dozen, because what really happens in the real world is something you really can't expect. Let's say you have a fire and your house burns down. First thing you want to know is, are you covered by your insurance policy? And so you call your broker and you find out what you got, and you contact the insurance company, and they say something like, you know what? We think this was an arson fire, and you did it. And since you did it, we're not paying your claim. So now what do you do next? You've got a claim, and nobody that's going to pay it. You need to get a lawyer. Usually you find somebody who's got a specialty in the area of either arson or insurance defense and handling bad faith insurance cases. Because what really happens in the real world, and I can tell you this from practical experience, is the insurance companies will oftentimes encourage local law enforcement to file a criminal complaint against you. Why is that? Because if they file a criminal complaint against you, the insurance company can throw its hands up, using the hands as representing one of the insurance companies, throw their hands up and say, look, you know, you committed a crime and you're not covered for that, not allowed to be covered for that. And so they will encourage and even provide information, their internal reports from a group which they call the Special Investigations Unit, to avoid making the payments. And then when you make a claim, they say, well, you exaggerated the claim. It never was really there, or it's worth a fraction of what you claim it was worth, and you boosted up the numbers, and they will make it difficult for you. So the good news of this is, if you do have to try the case, and many of them do end up in trial, in jury trials, if you prevail, the case is usually settled within a short period of time thereafter. I've had many experiences with that. On the other hand, if you lose, you get nothing, and you may end up in jail. And so you have to be very careful when you're dealing with both a civil and a criminal case at the same time. Because we've talked about the Fifth Amendment, we've talked about privileges. Well, they come into play in these kinds of cases. Now, a tip on arson cases, if you're defending an arson case or if you're being accused, find somebody else to blame. I oftentimes found somebody like a contractor with whom you were having a fight, and there was an argument over the bill. Contractor burned it down. We had the case which we've talked about on the show many times where a dentist actually burned down his own building. He paid a guy $1,000. The reason we know that is because the guy went to the premises, poured gasoline all over the place, and then stood in the doorway and lit the match. And guess what? He went poof right along with everything else, because gas doesn't burn. Only the fumes do. When we went back to his house, they found a check from my client for $1,000. Hey, basically hired him to file the claim. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. The book is called From the Trench to the Bench, available on Amazon. Or reach out, contact me at askjudgeherb@gmail.com. I'll be happy to respond.
I think that's one of your clients, Judge. The Arson clients.
Get the matches.